Hi, I'm Ken Fisher. Welcome to the 18th season of CityWide. My guest on this edition of CityWide is the new Deputy Borough President of Queens, Leroy Comrie. Welcome to CityWide.
Thank you for having me, Ken.
It's the beginning of a new year. We have a new mayor, new city council, speaker, and council. You have a new position.
Right.
I'm going to talk about all of those, but I want to go back just to the end of 2013.
Right.
I was at the last city council meeting of the year, and to some extent it was like graduation. There were some of the incoming freshmen there for orientation, and there were a lot of folks who were graduating from the institution as a result of term limits or developments in the electoral cycle. And there was nobody that I thought about more that day than you.
Really?
Because you spent most of your professional career in and around the city council as a staff member for one of the longest serving members, Archie Spigner, and then you succeeded him and served yourself as a member of the council and as a leader of the council. What did it feel like for you on that last day to be knowing that when you walked out of the building, you might be still involved in politics and government, but that the city council was no longer your home?
It was, quite a melancholy day. I had a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings, a lot of thoughts for, what we were able to accomplish as a council, as a unit, as a council, what I had been personally able to accomplish as a staffer who first rode my bike to my interview to work for Archie Spigner, to moving through the ranks in his office to be his chief of staff, and running for office where I won in a very close election because people didn't think that I would be able to be different from him. They thought that I would just be someone that he controlled. So I had a very close race. I won my race by just over 100 votes. And I had to quickly establish myself. I had, a great history and great training from Archie Spigner, my predecessor, and I was able to establish my knowledge base with my colleagues. And, we came in starting in January 2002, just after 9/11. There were 33 of us, I believe, in that council that came in new. And we were expected to fail. We were expected not to be able to achieve. But I think that 9/11 really fused us and focused us and got us galvanized into working together to save the city. And with Gifford Miller, and I was honored to be part of his leadership team. I became majority whip of the council. I was made the head of the Queens Council delegation just because I was willing to share my knowledge of city services, how government works, how to get access to things in government, where things were at City Hall, where things were in the district.
So what would you say, what was a low point of your tenure as a council member, and what was a high point?
Oh, the low point was definitely the day that James Davis got shot.
He was a council member?
He's a city council member from Brooklyn, a real energetic guy, full of energy, full of zest, always had us enthralled at the council with his style of politics and humor. And, the day that he got shot in the balcony at City Hall was just a horrible day for all of us. And it just was a real low point for us in the council. Many high points in, my career in the council. Our first budget that we passed in the city council was, a major high point for us. I was able to improve every park and every library in my district. I was able to even build a library from the ground up in my district. I was able to be part of the council's leadership team when we made difficult decisions over the last 12 budget years. And I'm very proud of what we did as a council. We started initiatives. We created an Immigrant Opportunities Initiative, which I was very proud to be a leader in and help shape and make sure that that was done equitably throughout the city, because we had people that really had major immigration needs and help with citizenship, help with ESL, help with staying in the country, and we were able to provide that for city council members that have in their offices in the highest need areas. We were able to create a workforce initiative program where we were able to hire over 10,000 people working through the Jobs to Build On program, and it's been a great program. We were able to create a CASA after-school program through Dominic Recchia, who was the Cultural Affairs Chair at the time.
So a lot of these things, the work of the City Council, are things that directly touches the lives of people, but many of the people whose lives it touch don't necessarily realize how these programs came to be.
Because the Immigrant Opportunities Initiative, we fund it, but it's given to agencies to work on. The Jobs to Build On program, we fund it, but it's given to other people to work on.
Your district, Southeast Queens, tell us the neighborhoods.
It's the best district in the city. It's 80% 1- and 2-family homeowners. It comprises the St. Albans, Jamaica, Cambria Heights, Queens Village, and Hollis areas.
Say that again. It's 80% 1- and 2-family houses. So
right.
it's almost a suburban enclave within the city.
Yes, it is. It's a suburban enclave within the city. It's one of the highest minority median income areas in the country.
Average median income for African American families in Southeast Queens higher than the average median income for, or the median income for white families in Queens.
Right.
It's a stable working class kind of
working class, many people that have civil service jobs, people that have the highest amount of union jobs for any minority area in the city. Sorry, I'm fighting a cold, so I'm getting a little congestion. A lot of people that have back office Wall Street jobs and banking jobs, and working people that are used to getting up and working, people that have a tradition of maintaining their homes and keeping their lawns clean, people that have a tradition of having a family unit. So,
Bill de Blasio, new mayor, you know him.
Yes.
Served with him in the city council.
8 years.
And so what's your take? Were you surprised that he kind of broke out of the pack just a few weeks before the primary and won?
I think the entire city was, surprised but understood the phenomenon of the Afro, and of Dante's commercial. When that commercial first hit, you knew that the tide was turned, and you knew that the reactions that I got from people that thought they knew de Blasio, people that never met de Blasio, people that had seen him over the years. It was a powerful commercial. It really turned
Is that
the tide.
because he was signaling that he was a white guy who was comfortable around black people? Do you think that resonated with people?
I think that resonated, but even more so, it resonated that he was a father, that he was a parent, that he was a New Yorker that understood all aspects of New York. And New York in this new millennium is, very mixed.
So do you think that New Yorkers actually understood what his political agenda was? That since he has taken office, he has used the word progressive so many times, you'd think he was advertising the auto insurance. Do you think New Yorkers understood what that meant?
I think that what attracted New Yorkers to de Blasio was that he was focused in his message, he was direct and consistent in his message, and that he showed himself to be a true family person with all of the valuables, all of the issues that a family has. And I think that people reacted to that and gravitated to that as the best of all of the people that had run. And his campaign was clean and simple, and he didn't divert from his message.
So unlike past mayors, he was unabashed in his support for Melissa Mark Viverito to succeed Christine Quinn as Speaker. In fact, it became an issue in the race between her and Dan Garagnon, council member from Manhattan,
Correct.
as to whether the independence of the council was being compromised. So was that smart politics, smart government? Is it that the council doesn't need to be that independent? And also tell us your take on the new speaker.
Well, I think the council will be independent. I would not count Melissa out as being an independent person. You know, those that know the relationship between Melissa Margarito and Bill de Blasio, they were very close as colleagues in the council. They worked on a lot of issues together. But Melissa's very smart. She's very driven. She understands how to get things done. You know, I was very impressed by her intellect and her passion when I worked with her on issues in the council. Melissa understands that she now has a role as speaker to make sure that the body acts as a counter to the mayor. And I think that Mayor de Blasio wanted Melissa because he wanted to make sure that he had someone that he could at least start an agenda with, that understood his passion, understood his issues, and had worked with him in the past. But I would not sit here and guarantee that Melissa's going to just do everything that the mayor wants without any kind of pushback or without any kind of feedback. I think that one of the best ways that a relationship between a mayor and a speaker will work is that they can agree on things, they can have their fights behind closed doors when necessary to come to compromise. And then if necessary, you know, the speaker will always have the members to back her up when she disagrees with a mayor on an issue. And I think that it can be very effectively done that way. So I wouldn't count the members out from making sure that there's an impassioned discussion on things that they care about.
So we're going to go from City Hall to Queensborough Hall when CityWide continues right after this. Welcome back to CityWide. We're speaking with the Deputy Borough President of Queens, Leroy Comrie. So you are now in Queensborough Hall working with Melinda Katz.
Yes.
Tell our viewers what she's like. I know we'll have her on the show as well at some point, but she was in government before. She was a legislator, a city council member.
Right.
You've worked with her for years.
Right.
Now you're her deputy.
Right.
What's she like, and more importantly, what's the vision of the office of Borough President?
Melinda's a very driven person. She's very passionate about a lot of things. She's you know, we're both Leos, so we're both a little crazy. So we both enjoy, you know, a lot of things. We enjoy engaging with people. We enjoy, you know, the give and take of getting things done. She enjoys having a real discussion about finding out all the issues to deal with making a decision. She enjoys engaging and debating with people to find out things. You know, we are very simpatico in a lot of ways. She's, you know, we've had a great working relationship as colleagues in the council. You know, she's someone that, as borough president, she's very interested in getting things done quickly. She's already, you know, doing everything she can to understand all of the nuances of the office, so we can start taking some positions on some issues and making sure that the borough president's office is really a place where people can come to get help.
The borough president has a platform. They represent millions.
2.8 million.
2.8 million people. A series of appointments that you make, some budgetary authority,
Right.
A formal but advisory role on zoning and other things.
Mm-hmm.
You and Melinda both chaired the land use committee of the council.
Right.
You were responsible for decisions about how big buildings could be built or whether the city bought or sold land.
Right.
Should we expect, given that experience that you both had, that the thrust of the office is going to be about the planning and land use aspects and development in Queens?
Not just that, but you know, there's a lot to Queens. You know, Queens has a lot of small businesses that are looking to, you know, get help, get serviced. We have the most diverse population. So many different languages and cultures are in Queens. The restaurant life in Queens is booming. The entertainment in Queens is burgeoning. We have 2 airports that need a lot of attention. The Rockaways, as you know, got hit with Sandy. We have transportation needs in the borough. So, planning and development tied in with all of that, I think both of us will make that an asset from our background.
So is there a Queens-wide strategy that you're pursuing, or is it a neighborhood-by-neighborhood strategy?
We will be talking to every neighborhood to develop a Queens-wide strategy. There's no way that you can do things in Queens without making sure that all of the elements are involved and that the elements from the Rockaways to Long Island City understand that we understand their particular needs so that we can make sure it blends. As you know, there are projects that will, if they happen one way in Queens, will impact the other end of Queens. Everything from how airplanes take off at LaGuardia and Kennedy Airport, everything from how the 59th Street Bridge is structured, impacts people all over the borough. So you have to make sure that you have borough-wide discussions, and the borough president is focused on making sure that we create opportunities for all Queens residents to come together and all levels of government to come together to make sure that positive things happen for the borough.
Queens's population grew over the last decade, as
Right.
did the city overall, but I think there was a sense that there wasn't quite the same momentum, perhaps, as in Brooklyn and some of the neighborhoods in Manhattan that we're developing, and certainly not nearly as much actual construction. There are a handful of high-rises that have gone up on the East River, but nothing like the equivalent that's happened in neighborhoods like Greenpoint and Williamsburg and Dumbo. So is that something that you would want to encourage, or are there lessons learned from what happened on the Brooklyn waterfront that might inform different decisions for the Queens waterfront?
Oh, well, the waterfront in Queens is actually burgeoning. There are 4 development projects in Long Island City now. There are 3 more slated to happen quickly. There's still the Silver Cup project that's going to happen. So Long Island City is actually a lot more active than you think. And, we've had Mayor Bloomberg did a large affordable housing project that is going to be built in Long Island City as well. But, Queens residents have always been very careful and very vocal about overdevelopment, and they want to make sure that their voices are heard whenever there's development projects that are happening throughout the borough. And we, as the borough president's office, will have to make sure that we ensure that Queens residents' voices are always included whenever there's a project. And Queens has a reputation as the happiest borough, so there's a lot of people that like living in Queens, and most Queens residents are very proud of their time and their life here in the borough.
Let's go to what in some respects might be considered downtown Queens, and that's the Jamaica area.
Right.
Central Business District,
Right.
although not a lot of office development. You've got York College there.
Right, that's the district that I represent.
New courthouse.
Right.
So is that moving in the right direction? Does it need a big push? What's the strategy for Jamaica?
Well, we need a big push, and we need more help from the federal and state governments to give some money to create an opportunity to make sure that the air train and the Long Island Railroad feeds more into the downtown area, that we try to help stimulate. We have a very active business community and shopping strip down there, and a lot of people don't know this, but tour buses from all over the Eastern Seaboard come to downtown Jamaica for the urban wear goods that they have now and for the goods that they can't get for a lot of immigrant populations all over the Eastern Seaboard.
It sounds to me, Leroy, that there's a lot of things going on in Queens that people just don't know about.
Right.
So what are you and the borough president going to do about that?
We're going to do our best to highlight them and make sure that everybody knows that Queens is the borough where things are happening, and the borough that things are going to be the most things that will be engaging people, intriguing people, and enticing people to come visit, to come shop, and to come and have a good time right here in Queens.
You mentioned the airports. So probably the largest employers, if you take the associated industries in the borough, among the largest in the city.
Right.
The rules are set in Washington. The projects are financed and controlled out of Albany, Albany and Trenton.
Right.
But the impact is on Jamaica and the other neighborhoods and the highways of
Right.
and the residents of Queens. So do the airports represent an opportunity or a burden from Borough Hall's perspective?
I believe they're going to represent an opportunity. The Borough President's office had in the past an Airport Advisory Council where we brought in the federal government reps, the people from the airport managers, and all of the people that work at both airports. And we're going to revitalize that and make sure that that works, making sure that our federal representatives are there and our state representatives are there so that we can make sure that the airport really, which is a major job generator, a major income generator for the city, is also something that Queens residents can not only benefit from an employment perspective, but an enjoyment perspective as well. And those households that are impacted by it can know that we're doing everything we can to minimize the impact on their households.
You also mentioned Sandy, and people often lose sight of the fact that Brooklyn and Queens are on Long Island,
right?
And that Queens has a waterfront, I guess, that stretches from the Rockaways to Whitestone and Frog's Neck.
Right.
Many of those communities got clobbered, Breezy Point and others, but also neighborhoods that maybe weren't in the press as much, but they were hugely impacted. Jamaica Bay as well.
Right.
What are some of the lasting impacts of Sandy, and what are some of the lessons that have been learned?
Well, lasting impacts from Sandy is that we still have homeowners that have been displaced and have not had an opportunity to even get to first base yet or understanding what their options are. So we, in the Borough President's office, we're putting together a task force that we are going to be reaching out to all of the elected officials that were in their neighborhoods were most impacted by Sandy, and convening a task force with the electeds, hopefully, so that we can combine forces and combine resources and combine voices so that we can have a uniformed opportunity to respond to the issues, and also convene a monthly people's forum so that all of the folks that are affected by Sandy can come and speak to their electeds at every level so that they can tell what's going on in their neighborhood, share what they're doing, share what their problems are, so that we can highlight that and make a laser-like focus on fixing them. Because it's important that, people are resilient. They want to go back into those neighborhoods where they were hurt. They want to be able to get back into the homes that they lost, or they want to be able to rebuild their lives. And we, in the Borough President's office, Melinda, Katz, and working with the other state and federal elected officials, are going to do everything we can to make that happen.
So given what you yourself has described as the extraordinary diversity of Queens, ethnic diversity, economic diversity, geographic diversity, how easy it is going to be to build consensus and keep all of the stakeholders and opinion leaders moving in the same direction?
Well, from our diversity, there's still a similarity. People want to have a good quality of life. They want to make sure that they have clean streets, good schools. They want to know that their concerns are being heard. And the best way to do that is to keep a high level of communication with everybody that encounters the office, have a respectful posture to people that come in, and make sure that we embrace everyone that wants to be part of the process. And that we can do by making sure that we are presenting the Queens Borough President's office to the entire borough in a way that people will be open and receptive to.
So if you could sum up in one sentence what makes Queens special, what would you want our viewers to know?
Now look at the Unisphere and know that the Queens is a borough of unity and happiness, and that it's a great place for families to come and raise their children and have a good time.
My thanks to the new Deputy Borough President of Queens, Leroy Comrie. I'm Ken Fisher. Thanks for joining us on this edition of CityWide. Send your comments and suggestions to CityWide at CUNY TV, 365 Fifth Avenue, New York, New York, 10016, or contact us at cuny.tv.